Get to match high standards and expectations. As Albert Einstein said, in the end, everything is about numbers. Hello, I am Juan Navarro. This is Advanced Quality Programs, and I invite you to explore the quality philosophies and concepts to apply them to our everyday life. Only 3 countries in the world still don't use the metric system: Liberia, Myanmar, and the United States. However, Liberia and Myanmar are changing. The US uses both the old and new metric system, their ways to measure. With 1 foot, for example, defined as equal to 0.3048 meters. In the 1700s, a time known as the Age of Reason, there was a lot of confusion, especially in France. And people didn't really have many things to compare and measure. They had over 250,000 different ways to measure things. Smart people needed a single, easy-to-use measurement based on what nature could provide them. So it was decided to create what we would know as the meter, which would be the distance of 1/10 millionth from the North Pole to the equator. But it was easier said than done. They didn't have anything to compare and assess that exact distance, so they assigned some people to measure between Dunkirk and Barcelona. These both cities should be on the same line going north and south, or at least that was the hypothesis, the assumption. 2 scientists, Albert and McCain, were assigned to do that job. Albert measured north and McCain south. This should have taken them 1 year, but in reality it took 7 because there was war in Europe. People involved in the conflicts thought those scientists were spies and tried to hurt them. Fortunately, they didn't, and the scientists finished measuring. Then they built a metal bar that was to become 1 meter long, to represent their assumed calculation. However, in reality, it was seen as little too short. Some people even said that they could have had the bar or the stick made and called it a meter without going all the trouble. Even with some mistakes on the calculation, this metal bar reference became the first official meter for the whole world to use. And even though it was not exactly 1/10 million of the Earth, that metal bar is still the start of the metric system, and the metric system that we use today. It has evolved and now is reference controlled using lengths of light that they don't change, but it is widely accepted as the standard and is used internationally as reference to measure distance. This shows us the importance of having agreed upon ways to measure things and behave. This is the role and importance of standards. Standards are rules that tell us how to make things reliable, safe, compatible, and useful. They are used for all kinds of things and safe services, behaviors like products, environmental management, daily use, measure how we use energy or water, and to even evaluate how we practice and succeed at sports. And there are different kinds of standards. Some experts for each discipline or activity define and create standards all the time to make sure that all these standards and norms are up to date and we can actually continue to evaluate, communicate, and even behave according to those standards. There are 3 main types of standards. The international ones, the international standards, which are for the whole world, and they are made like the ISO, the IEC, the ITU, and even the metric system. These are worldwide accepted and used. And we have the regional standards. These are considered the rules or the comparison or the reference for certain areas that behave mostly the same, like European Union, North American countries, the Pacific and Asian countries, and so on. And we also have national standards. These are defined for one country in specific and are made by that country experts. They can be the new ideas or copies of international and regional standards applied for only that local communities. Laws are standards. Usually people follow one standard because they want to compare, measure, or relate something, as we already explained. But sometimes governments need to make sure that the behaviors are aligned for safety of everyone. Like, for example, what is to be observed while driving a car. So, governments make the standard into a law. When that happens, everybody has to follow the standard, whether they like it or not. And that is one of the reasons for using the expression is normal. It means it meets the standard, behaves according to that reference, and not only statistically. Overall, a standard is something we use to compare with. The better and more specific the standard, the better the results by using them. For that reason, an athlete who has a high standard is led to attaining high results. The athlete is comparing his expectations to the result. Just as the word need to define the standard metric system to work, compare, and communicate, we should define our standards to ensure our results are matching high standards and expectations. And just as the word need to define standard metric systems to work and communicate, we should define our standards to ensure that our results are matching our expectations, especially when they are high. And that's it for today's episode and podcast. Don't forget to hit a like if you find it useful. Don't forget to share with your friends and family, with your enemies. I appreciate all of your comments. I appreciate everybody that has already acquired the books, Life Quality Projects and Principles of Quality. Your ratings in Amazon and Goodreads help us to increase the impact of the message. And before leaving, I would like to say hello to my friend Timo Dreblo, who is already on holiday. And I would like to leave you with a quote from Henry Ford. Without standards, there is no progress. Don't forget to hit the bell and see you next week.